We are taking a look at a sub 12 pound base weight, lightweight backpacking gear loadout today. It has been some time since I have shared a full gear loadout with you guys, and I did something I didn't think I would ever do. I created a lighter pack. So as we're going through all of this, you can reference that lighter pack for the weight and links to all of these items that I'm sharing with you today. But yes, a sub 12 pound base weight in the Waymark Evolve 35 liter backpack. I just returned from Capitol Reef National Park recently. I have not unloaded my pack yet, and we're gonna just dump everything out, show you exactly what I took on this weekend trip to Capitol Reef National Park. So for this trip, I had very specific agenda items that I wanted to accomplish that allowed me to have the best experience possible while out in Capitol Reef. Now, I did not want to sacrifice comfort. I wanted to be as minimal as possible, and I wanted to use everything that I brought with me, because if I'm not using it, then why am I going through the hassle of carrying it and putting it in my backpack? So I went as minimal as possible, understanding the conditions that we were going to be experiencing. And yes, I was right at the limit of this particular gear loadout with my 30-degree quilt, the sleeping pad, and the temperatures and such that we were experiencing. It was snowing at the trailhead when we showed up, so give you an idea of kind of what things were like. But we're gonna start with the big three items first in this gear loadout, and we'll start with the pack. Pack that I carried on this trip is the 35 liter Waymark Gear Evolve. This is a special edition Evolve that we did. There's only a select few of these out there. Super cool color combination. But this was a great experience. I have really enjoyed carrying the Evolve. But you know what? I have learned that not having a hip belt is something that I personally don't really enjoy. I like being able to put weight on my hips, loosen up the shoulders, and adjust throughout the day with my pack. And the Evolve being a hipless backpack, hipless frameless backpack, you don't have that option. But it was nice to have these stretched shoulder pockets here instead of hip belt pockets to put my phone, chapstick, and my water bottle for the day in. But this was a good, great option for the about 19 total pounds of weight that I was carrying with food and water. The quilt that I was carrying, like I said, a 30-degree quilt from UGQ. This is the Bandit top quilt, and it did a really great job, especially with not using, water bottle down, especially with not using the pad straps. All I did was kind of turn it into a sleeping bag, and I clipped all of the clips together where the pad straps would normally go, and just closed everything up and curled up into a nice tight ball. It was really enjoyable. But yeah, I got a little chilly, and I ended up wearing on the first night all of my layers to help me stay comfortable and warm. I was not freezing, but like I said, this was at the limit of the temperature that we were experiencing that first night. It was a little bit warmer the second night, which was nice. But that is the UGQ Bandit Top Quilt 30 degree. Next on the list is my shelter that I took, and finally I got the Tarp Tent Double Rainbow Lithium out on the trail. And you know what, guys? This thing is impressive. Like 30 ounces of weight with the extra stakes that I put in here to help pitching in the sand a lot better. Wow, what a roomy, spacious, awesome ultralight shelter that honestly, I cannot wait to keep using this. This is impressive. And what I've got it in, because the stuff sack for this is pretty large, and I wanted it to be able to sit horizontally inside of my pack, which I can do when I remove the poles from the bag, is I just rolled it up nice and tight in this Hilltop Packs Dyneema stuff sack, which I ended up ripping. That was my own fault, but that allowed me to save some space on that. And then I just added a few extra stakes into the stakes here, mini groundhogs with the Easton Nano, the Easton stakes that come with the tent. Here with the carbon fiber poles that go with the Double Rainbow, I've got this pole sleeve that I created that just protects the poles from snags and things from being in the desert when you do a lot more bushwhacking than you might anticipate. Now for my sleeping pad, which I should have showed you before with the quilt, but I took the Nemo Tensor Alpine. Now, I have had this pad for some time, However, I replaced the long wide version with this regular mummy version. So I saved a little bit of weight from that. This is now coming in at about 19 ounces, and it was very comfortable. I absolutely love the Tensor sleeping pads. They are so incredibly comfortable, and this was the right R value of around like 4.5 for keeping me nice and warm with that cold from the ground. And then I paired all of that with the Eros Premium large pillow from Sea to Summit. I love this thing, and it's worth the 2.5, 3 ounces that you get with that. Let's move on to the clothing items that I wore on this trip. And again, try to go minimal as possible. Before the trip, I picked up from backcountry.com this Serum LT down vest. This allowed me to save about 4 or 5 ounces over like a full down jacket because I'm layering with the mid layer that I'll show you here in a second. But this was awesome. I love vests because they pack down really small. They work out really great for temperatures, but in this case, I would have enjoyed having a heavier weight down to keep me a little bit warmer at camp because it got a little breezy, it was a little chilly, and this was, again, right at the bare minimum of what I needed for being able to be comfortable in camp. So paired with that underneath is the Outdoor Vitals Ventus hoodie. This is a brand new jacket that just launched on Kickstarter at the time of filming this video, but testing this, I am impressed. There are things that I would change on it, and I've already shared that feedback with Outdoor Vitals, but perforated underarms that allow for a lot of breathability within the hoodie, and it's super lightweight, packs up into a really small ball. And what impressed me about this is how warm it actually is for the weight and insulation ratio that you get out of it. Synthetic insulation, and I'm just impressed with what Outdoor Vitals has put together here, and I'm excited for more testing of this. It's kind of sneaky, but when the production model comes out, sharing more about the Ventus with you guys when that happens. Now, other clothing items that I carried with me, and one of those items is something that I put into my pack at the trailhead. I had them in my car. I wasn't planning on bringing them, but man, I am glad I grabbed a pair of gloves to take with me. Unfortunately, these gloves are not available anymore. People ask me all the time, where did you get those gloves? They're from Outdoor Designs, and they just don't make this particular model anymore, which is a bummer because I love these gloves. And then my other clothing items, the only other clothing items that I carried was an extra pair of socks for sleeping, smart wool socks, a pair of, these are dirty, look, dirty underwear, dirty, clean at the time, but an extra pair of underwear, and then my thermal bottoms for sleeping and just around camp to stay a little bit warmer when I'm just sitting around. So those are all of the clothing items that I carried on this trip. My food bag, which still has way too much food in it. I don't know why I got so distracted by how much food I was carrying. This is just a zipper Dyneema bag that I sewed myself with my Toaks long handle titanium polished bowl spoon that I take with me on every trip. So speaking of food, let's talk about my cook kit. I carry a little microfiber towel. This did get used more so in the sense of wiping down condensation on the inside of my tent than anything else. I put it with my cook kit, and it always seems to not ever get really used. So this is something that I might leave behind more often in the future. But Toaks 550 milliliter titanium pot, and paired with the Toaks siphon alcohol stove and the windscreen like pot support that comes with that kit. This was awesome. First time out in the field with this particular alcohol stove, and my fuel bottle that I got from Dutchware Gear when I bought my Graham Weenie Pro. So I got a little cup in a little sack to help protect if any leaks happen, but this thing was really cool, efficient, boiled water in a timely manner. It worked really well. And then mini bic. Got the mini bic in there, and the Light AF pot sack that went with it. So very simple, very minimal type of cook kit. So now let's talk about water. And let me pick up the bottle that fell on the ground. So I carried a 1 liter Smart Water bottle and a 23 ounce Smart Water bottle. And this went in my shoulder pouch on the shoulder pocket for my pack and allowed me really good access because in one side of my pack, I put my chair, which we'll talk about here in a second, and then the other side of the pack was this other bottle full. It turned out that we had great water access, and so I could have gotten away without even needing to bring a second bottle, but it's always nice to have as much clean water as possible when you're out there. Then my Canuck Vecto 2 liter bag, this thing needs to get repaired. I've got a pinhole up here in the corner that I gotta fix, but I love these bags. I knocked on them, I dogged on them a little bit a while back because I was getting kind of frequent pinholes, but I've learned that this material does have a tendency to get pinholes, and it's not necessarily the fault of Canuck in that case. So yes, my tried and trusty micro squeeze water filter, and this is brand new heading into this trip. It just was awesome, but you would expect that out of a brand new filter, but I got to take some time to properly back flush this, get it prepped for storage because I don't know the next time I'm going to be able to get out. But Solar Micro, we're loving this thing. Okay, rain jacket. My Berghaus Hyper Jacket. This particular model is not available anymore, but this comes in at 3 ounces, super tiny. It was very nice to just take a little bit of that wind chills when we're walking through a narrow canyon and keep myself protected a little bit. Wore it on the first day in the first few minutes, headed down the trail as it was still kind of sprinkling with rain coming down and snow, but I love that jacket. Okay, a few more items here. Let's talk about first aid and safety. As always, I'm carrying the Zoleo satellite communication device. I love the Zoleo so much. I've got a full long-term review of the Zoleo coming soon. I'm not going to give you exact time frame, but yes, I love the Zoleo. So nice to be able to sit in camp, text my wife. In fact, this came in so handy to get a more accurate weather report. We weren't sure how long we were going to sit at the trailhead and wait out the snow. So I texted my wife and said, hey, can you look up the weather for this area? Give me a better idea of what the hourly weather looks like, more so than what the dark sky weather report was giving us, and it was very helpful in that case. First aid kit. This was a lifesaver on this trip. I got gnarly blisters on my feet, well, on my right foot. And I used blister pads, Leukotape that I borrowed from my friend that was with me, and yes, I used my first aid kit quite a bit on this trip, and I'm grateful for that. And always have enough stuff for those things. My poop kit, my Gee-Whiz trowel, and then wet ones. And I'm actually going to start using a bidet when I head out into the backcountry now because these are heavy, but I still might carry a few of these just because it's nice to be able to clean yourself up and clean down there so that you help prevent chafing and that kind of stuff. And then here in this little zippered bag, I always carry like a watertight type of bag to put my car keys in and stuff, or like my permit for the trail. And then my headlamp went in here. This is the Petzl Bindi. I got my little Benchmade mini bug out knife in there. And then I made one mistake on this trip. I brought my 10,000 milliamp battery pack, but the cable that I got was not capable of running the charging on this particular battery pack. So USB-C on one side, Lightning on the other for my iPhone. And I put it in the USB side and I look and all it says is input. I had no way of charging my phone or my device out there. That was a dumb mistake. And if I was reliant on my device, my phone, for maps and everything, it would have been a bad situation if I had got lost or if I needed to really send a custom message on my Zoleo. So lesson learned, don't always rely on electronic devices. And if you're going to carry a battery pack, make sure you've got the right cable that goes with it so you don't make the mistake that I did. The other thing that I've gotten here is just some like hydration, like salt tablets for me to take in this little Dyneema bag that I put all that stuff in. Last two items we'll talk about. This was also added at the trailhead. I just had it in my car, but the Canuck carbon fiber cork handled trekking pole. I don't normally carry trekking poles anymore, but decided to have this just in case, so I could at least freestand pitch the head end of my double rainbow. And it was nice on the second day as we were coming back from a 14-mile day of hiking to be able to use this and take some of that pressure off of my foot that had blistered from the day before. Then last item that just added amazing comfort to the trip, my Helinox Chair Zero. I take this all the time. I absolutely love it. And I've got it in this cool custom Hilltop Packs Dyneema pouch that has my logo on it. So that was my number one like luxury comfort item for this trip. So there you go, everybody. That is my full gear loadout of everything that I took on this backpacking trip to Capitol Reef National Park. Sub 12 pounds of total base weight, under 20 pounds of total weight with food and water, and it worked out well. Had a great experience, and just am amazed that I used every single piece of gear in this list on that trip, and that doesn't happen very often. But anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching today. If you are not subscribed to the channel, hope you do subscribe. Hit the bell notification to get notified when I post new videos. And as always, hope you have an awesome day. Catch you on the next one.